Yep, that's my intro. Sup? I've done this video. I don't know how many times. This might be my fifth time doing this video. I even loaded it, and I just wasn't happy with the end production of it. So I utilized already the AC/DC shards that I was going to utilize during the making of this video. I still have 365 left. And I want to just focus on briefly who you should be using your AC/DC shards on early in the game. As the game progresses, AC/DC shards be one of the most coveted items in the game because it really pushes your heroes to a new tier of usage. So early in the game, the first maybe 2 months to 3 months, you want to focus on just building Justice League of America. I know a lot of people, they say, I want to build Arkham, I want to build whatever team you want to build. But in the beginning of the game, you should be focused on building the Justice League of America for one specific reason. It's just that you have enough of them to actually make a full team. Justice League, you'll be able to have 12 people who you'll be able to utilize and to be able to form a team around them. You won't use them all because some are just not worth using. And then two of them is so late in the game that you're not going to be using them at all in the beginning. So when we look at the other teams, you look at the Bat team, you do have four that you could put together. But these four together, no matter who you add to them, they're just not that great without adding Nightwing. Nightwing is the piece to this Bat team that really pushes it. So you're not going to really focus too much on the Bat team. Not only that, but the Batman shards, they drop at a very low drop rate in the game. It will take you forever to really build Batman up unless you're going to spend a lot of money on it. And as I told you, my videos are geared towards those who are free to play or light spenders. Then you have Arkham. Arkham will probably be the second team you build. You do get a few pieces of them very early in the game. Currently, Joker is available on this particular server. Joker becomes directly after Superman currently on most or the newer servers, and then there will be Scarecrow. So you can really put together a really good Arkham team pretty early in the game. However, the biggest piece to this Arkham team is gonna be the Riddler, who's like one of the last champions to be dropped on your server. Nurse Betty is a completely pay-to-play character, and what you get from the VIP, and she's very expensive. So, but I do have a lot of support for Arkham, and this is a good second team build that you should focus on. We're going to go over why on these teams in just a second. So then you have Justice League Dark, who will probably be your third team and probably the team that you would maybe even like the most. There's a total of 6 champions that fit in the Justice League Dark currently. One of the things I want people to quite notice off rip when it comes to Justice League Dark is that Superman is not part of Justice League Dark. So that's a completely different team. You're only starting with 3 people on your Justice League Dark. Wonder Woman will fit both teams, you know what I mean? And some of the other players later on makes this a really great team. Constantine, Zatanna, and Swamp Thing are all 3 of the main components when you really want to put together a Justice League Dark team. But when you'll see Wonder Woman is quite beneficial. Legion of Doom is another one you'll be able to construct at an early stage in the game, but not be able to have a real team that can really contend. The main component of this team is going to be Lex Luthor and Scarecrow, who you do get quite early. Sinestro and Deathstroke are very big components on constructing a really good team around the Legion of Doom. You can probably alternate between Black Adam, Captain Cold, who I prefer because of his freeze, and Killer Croc. Team Titan is another team that can be constructed quite early. The problem with them, again, is some of the same problems you will find with a lot of other teams. Their main characters won't be able to get picked until much later in the game. Nightwing and Starfire. Starfire is like one of the top ones in the game. So top healers in the game. So you're gonna top support characters in the game in general. So you really need her and Nightwing to really push this team. This team really is made up of Starfire, Nightwing, and Robin. So, but other than that, you can still put together a team with them, but just not one of those teams that's going to really contend early in the game. And then you have the what's the name of these Birds of Prey? The Birds of Prey team is not really a good team. It may seem that way because of Harley and Ivy. However, it's just not really a good team because Catwoman she seems like she's great, but she's not. You can put together a good one later in the game, especially if you spend to get Nurse Harley. You know what I mean? When Hawk Girl come out, you could possibly put together a good team with Harley Quinn, Ivy, Nurse Quinn, Hawk Girl, and maybe Batgirl. So you can construct a team around them. So, but that's much later in the game. So it's not a team you want to focus on this early. And the last one that actually will be able to be of that you can put together any type of team would be the Assassin's Guild. And but that's again, as you can see, Ra's al Ghul and Deathstroke. Deathstroke appears not too late, but Ra's al Ghul appears much later. And of course, you're gonna have Talia al Ghul. This is the Assassins, and they're a later team also. And that's going to pretty much be the last one that you can actually build any valuable team. You can see there are other teams you can put together. Super Family, it's going to be much later. You're still going to need a long time before you can put together an Amazon team. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover the one team that you can compose and who you should be using from amongst those 5. I will like to say that you really want to get Superman, and when you're first starting off with this team, you want Superman, and any member of any team you want to have at minimum 3 stars, but you should be aiming for 5 white stars before you're actually inserting them into a consistent role and pushing it past that. I have a strategy for the way that I actually hunt inside of the bleeds. I always, whenever a new character comes out, I target that character until I get it to 5 white stars, and then I go back to the character that preceded it and continue to hunt for stars for that character until he leaves. And that's been a rotation that I've been consistently using, that's been working for me, so that by the time that character leaves, I'm at some form of viability. As you see, Superman is with 2 purple stars, and he still have a little less than a week before he's going to be out of the bleed and Scarecrow's be replacing him. So it gives you some time, and you can see Joker has been released, and I already have Joker at 5 white stars. So I'm just only hunting for Superman right now until he leaves the bleed, and then I'll just only be hunting for Joker after getting Scarecrow. So that's a tactic you could possibly utilize in order to make sure you're getting the characters that you really want, and not rely on the characters that you already have that you're going to be utilizing to not be able to get stronger. You wanted them to be stronger. Purple is the ideal area. Blue is okay. White is the bare minimum. You know what I mean? But you want to try to get up to purple, and that's a strategy that I utilize. So we have 4 that we're actually going to add because we're anticipating that you're going to use Superman in this Justice League of America. Those 4 is going to be, to start with, Shazam. Shazam is going to be one of the ones you really want to invest your ACDC in. So get him to 5 stars as soon as possible. We'll cover his abilities, and his abilities we're going to show you. We're going to show you his abilities on max level. This is something I wasn't doing in the past. I was showing you the abilities on the level that I currently have, but I'll be showing you on the max levels going forward so that you can really get a sense of how strong that these characters become. His first ability is Achilles summons. He gains courage of Achilles for 10 seconds. Courage of Achilles reduces physical damage taken by 45%. Cannot be dispelled. Is a very good talent, meaning that they can't stop him from being able to do this. The next one is Wisdom of Solomon. Shazam dashes forward and unleashes a burst of lightning within a circular area around him, dealing physical damage equal to 260% of his attack and gaining a shield equal to 260% of his attack. Something that's not really mentioned, that when he does this, he actually stuns the enemy for just maybe like 0.2 seconds or whatever. Stop them from being able to gain spiritual ability or to be able to attack for a brief moment. His spiritual ability, Shazam deals physical damage equal to 320% of his attack to enemies within a circular area around him and taunts them for 3 seconds. That taunt is especially important because Shazam is gaining shields and he's increasing his defense. So when you taunt, you're directing attacks towards him, bringing him away from other characters. This is very important when you use Superman in a lineup because you want to put Shazam in the front row and Superman may be adjacent to him or sometimes even behind him. And those extra seconds of Superman not being attacked gives Superman time to do other things like use his heat ray or use his cool breath. And it sort of gives them a situation in which they're double teaming that person, or at least giving Superman the ability to attack without being attacked. His Atlas boost when Shazam take lethal damage, and this is one of his most prized abilities. That when he takes lethal damage, his health power is locked at 1 instead, and he recovers 100% of his max health power within 6 seconds. And that's on level 5. It goes to 100%. But even on level 1, which is 1 white star, is a viable ability. I believe it's at 40 or 60%. It's still very good, him not dying, and instead he just goes down and then he starts healing for 6 seconds and then he revives and come back and join them fight. He inflicts taunt for 3 seconds. So when he does that, they all come and try to attack him. And again, this is sort of like, it's not a stun, but it gives your other characters enough time to be able to not be taking damage. And he inflicts this taunt on all enemies at the cost of all of his energy. It can be triggered only once per battle, however. And lastly, he increases champion crit resistance by 7.5%, and it applies globally, meaning that when you're doing PvP and other game modes, that this is also applying. So he's a viable part of the Justice League of America, especially early in the game, because you can get him early, you can get his shards early, you can build him up, and he's someone 100% you should be putting your AC/DC shards into. Next is going to be Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a great champion. Wonder Woman's one of those champions you will be using later on in the game. She starts off as legendary, but can become mythic. Her only one problem is that when characters are legendary and become mythic, they can only reach to 2 red stars. So she's stuck there. However, her abilities make her a viable champion to use, not just on the Justice League of America team, but pretty much on any team that she's a part of. So she's someone you 100% want to be putting your AC/DC shards into. Not only that, but Wonder Woman can be found inside of the store, inside the Meta Brawl store, and you could get her shards there, 800. For 800 Meta Brawl points. You're doing your Meta Brawl every single day, gaining points, climbing up the leaderboard, and you can utilize your shards on her for a very low price, meaning that she's one of those characters that will be one of your first to reach the mythic stars. The mythic stars. She's gonna get her to 5 mythic stars, and then you're gonna have to restart that and get her back up to mythic once you make her a mythic champion, and that's after you do her quests. And the thing with her is she does a whole lot for the entire team, almost like Dr. Fate, but she does a little bit more with these stuns. Wonder Woman infuses her shield with divine power, granting divine shield to an ally for 8 seconds, and she's doing that early in the matchup. And the shield absorbs damage equal to 18% of Wonder Woman's max health power. That's when she's at max 5 red stars or whatever. So you know they're going to be able to make it so that she can get up to 5 red stars, but you're going to get her to 2, and she's going to be stuck there for a very long time on just 2 red stars. Wonder Woman throws her lasso of truth, dealing physical damage equal to 250% of her attack to an enemy and inflicting stun on them for 2 seconds. So that 2-second stun is a very long time in this game. Matches are only lasting for approximately 2 minutes. So that 2 seconds is a lot. This prevents them from drawing spiritual, from being able to launch their spiritual attacks or any of their attacks, and gives your teammates enough time to get extra damage on everyone else. Her spiritual attack, Wonder Woman leaps high and clashes her bracelets of submission together to generate a shockwave, dealing physical damage equal to 355% of her attack to enemies within a fan-shaped area and stunning them for 2 seconds, and incapacitates the target. They set a fan-shaped area. It's pretty much everybody on the other team. Even on low levels, I've not seen her not being able to stun people across the board. The only ones who she may miss is someone like Deathstroke, who jumps behind the team, maybe Robin, Nightwing, who comes behind the team and may not be able to be in front of her and get stunned. But pretty much if they're in front of her, everyone on that side will be getting stunned by this ability. And this is her second stun that she has. These are the two reasons, particularly what makes her super great. Also, and of course, the shield is another reason that she has on her first ability. And when her health power below 75%, Wonder Woman's physical defense increases by 60%. Another super great ability that makes her a very, very strong champion to contend with. It increases all champion physical defense by 100, and it applies globally. This is just giving more physical defense to your champions in all the different game modes. This is including ship battle. So this is why she will be number 2, or if you're counting Superman, number 3 on who you will be putting your AC/DC shards into early in the game, and don't have to worry about feeling like you wasted them or on someone. You could put her in her and put them in Shazam and not have to worry about it. Next is going to be Green Arrow. Green Arrow, you're going to be utilizing him late on into the game as well. You're going to be utilizing him for a very long time. Not only that, but Green Arrow will more than likely be the very first one that you have 5 mythic stars on early in the game. He'll probably be your first one to gold, your first one to mythic. So the abilities that he have will be very, very, very strong. This is going to make him very, very, very useful. So after a brief charge up, Green Arrow fires a special boxing glove arrow, dealing physical damage equal to 480% of his attack to an enemy, to one enemy. Green Arrow unleashes a volley of arrows into the air, dealing physical damage equal to 315% of his attack to enemies within range. And you're going to see why this attack, it becomes very beneficial later on when you complete the whole team and when we get to the next person. Green Arrow leaps into the air and shoots a barrage of arrows, dealing physical damage equal to 950% of his attack to an enemy. That's one enemy, and that's his spiritual attack. Green Arrow crit rate increases by 15%. He'll be doing a lot of crit damage. This is one of the benefits, super benefits of Green Arrow. And finally, increases all champions' attacks by 100, and it applies globally. So this ability is one of the things that makes him really, really good on the Justice League team, because he's increasing everyone. Imagine, any more attack you're giving a Superman is just insane, because he has an insane attack as it is. So when you max out Green Arrow, him just giving just 100, which isn't a lot, but it's just more. It's just more. So when he's doing this, this makes him a very, very, very usable and viable champion to be utilizing. And I know everyone is thinking Mira. We will go ahead and discuss Mira. But when you're putting together a Justice League team, in the beginning, the one person who I would always suggest, especially getting up to 5 stars, is going to be Aquaman. Aquaman has a unique ability, which is his last ability, that we'll come to in just 1 second. But he has a bunch of abilities that really, really formulates well within a Justice League of America style team. So his first ability, Aqua inflicts water prison on an enemy for 4 seconds. This is the equivalent of a stun, and it lasts for 4 seconds. He's doing this just passively throughout the match. This is a very, very important ability that he has. This is giving buying time. Just imagine with Shazam stunning, Wonder Woman stunning, Aquaman stunning. You see him somehow, and then you have Superman and Green Arrow. Green Arrow giving more damage to everyone with increased crit, and then Superman increasing his damage. These abilities together, compiled together, makes for a really, really great team. Then it's Breath of Atlantis. Aquaman summons waves to knock back enemies within a rectangular area in front of him, dealing physical damage to 400% of his attack. The damage he does with this wave is very good, but it isn't even the main component of this wave. It's the knockback. Like, if you say, for instance, you have him right behind Superman, and in front of Superman is a physical damage such as Bane or even Scarecrow. He knocks him back, giving Superman that extra second or two that allows him to be able to utilize his heat vision or his cool breath after they then come from cooldown. So this ability is one of my favorite abilities from Aquaman. His spiritual ability is another one of my favorite. I guess I love all of Aquaman's ability, even though he's rated low on the tier list. Inside of a Justice League, and we're going to get to that on the last ability, he is just one of the best champs to have on your Justice League team. Aquaman summons a water sprout, dealing physical damage equal to 280% of his attack over time to enemies within a circular area while pulling them towards the center. Again, with Aquaman, the fact that he's causing any type of damage with these moves isn't the main component to these moves, is what these moves do. If you utilize Aquaman, you've seen this whirlwind that's coming and drawing him to the center. And this is what I was mentioning when I said about how he benefits someone like Green Arrow, who when he does that barrage to a specific area, if you have all of them in the center, that barrage is hitting everyone. Superman doesn't have that with his ability. His ability is going to target one person. But when you do this, you can see Aquaman does this. You put him on a team outside of the Justice League, and he does this. So, for instance, there's a Joker in the back. He's doing that AoE damage all to them. Or if you got a Batman and Batman is doing that AoE damage to that little small area, and Aquaman done pulled everybody to the center, then they're all taking his damage. That's one of the reasons why this move is so important. His next ability, at the start of the battle, if there's at least 4 other Justice League, I said his last ability, but it was this one that I was referring to. If there's at least 4 other Justice League allies besides Aquaman, Aquaman's basic attack have a 50% chance to deliver a heavy blow, dealing physical damage equal to 560% of his attack. So, faction effect at the start of the battle. This is a faction effect. So what happens is he has to have 4 other members. That means you have to have a full Justice League in order for this to really have any effect. It's not going to work without it. But when he does this, having the other 4 Justice League members of his team it makes Aquaman a great champion, better than good, better than just better. It makes him a great champion when you have 4 other Justice League. And one of the reasons why you want to put him on a Justice League team early inside the game, but it has to be a full Justice League team in order for this really to have the ability and the promise that it shows. And then his last ability, he increases Justice League champion crit rate by 7.5%, and it applies globally. Imagine the extra increase in crit that is already happening with Green Arrow being increased by 7.5% from Aquaman. Aquaman is a team player, a Justice League specific team player, and he's someone you definitely want to be able to utilize early on. So we'll cover real quick why I didn't choose some of the other people to go first with this team. Batman I didn't say because you're going to be paying for him. That's the only way. Green, because he takes too long to get enough of his shards to build him up. Green Lantern, by the time you get the VIP level 4, you'll have the 10 to be able to get Green Lantern, but you want to get all 5 of his abilities. All 5 of his white stars, and that takes money. So you're gonna have to spend. If you're spending lightly and you decide you want to go with Green Lantern, he's not a bad champion to utilize. Flash is a great champion to utilize. He has great abilities. He works well on his team. Someone who you will probably be subbing out with maybe Shazam or Green Arrow or Aquaman at any point in time, specifically because you want to be able to increase the amount of time that you utilize Superman's spiritual ability. The thing when using Flash, to me, my only problem is that you have to play the mode. You won't just be autoing. He will work autoing, but it won't be as many times as it will be if you're actually playing the mode. So he's someone that you can invest your AC/DC shards in, as well as Green Lantern. But with Flash, you're going to actually have to play that mode to get the full benefit of him. He works very well in PvP because of what he does. So, he's someone that you can invest your AC/DC shards in. Mera is a person who I'm not against putting AC/DC shards in her. I'm not completely against it. As you can see, I did put some, but I didn't really max it out because when you're using Shazam and you're utilizing Wonder Woman, you don't really need Mera because they'll be keeping the team alive. And you get Martian the Manhunter later, even more so. But they'll be keeping the team alive. So you don't really need it. You're fighting for 2 minutes. Then you get with Wonder Woman and Shazam and Aquaman, you're getting stuns. You're getting these things that keep the other team from being able to attack, and they will keep your team alive. Stargirl, just not really that great to utilize. She doesn't do enough. And let me just say this. Let's say enough in comparison to what everyone else does. in comparison to what everyone else does. Then you have Adam. I wish he was as good as he is when he's with his other four Adams in the onslaught. When they're just wreaking havoc, exploding all over the place. You're not going to really utilize Adam or Stargirl at all. And lastly, we do want to cover Cyborg. Cyborg is a great support hero that can be utilized inside of a Justice League. He is someone that I'm definitely not against putting AC/DC shards in. He can definitely be useful. We'll cover his ability. Cyborg charges up to fire his sonic cannon, dealing physical damage equal to 410% of his attack to enemies within a rectangular area in front of him. His next one, when Cyborg take lethal damage for the first time and there is at least one living ally present, he blocks the damage and gains emergency repair for 5 seconds. So this is why you will see at the end of maybe your onslaught or your training simulator, you defeat the team, but Cyborg is still standing because of this ability, Reboot. It restores 10% of max health power per second, and it cannot be dispelled. It's just an underrated ability. Cyborg scans the area in front of him, inflicting vulnerability. This is with his spiritual ability on enemies within a circular area for 12 seconds. And vulnerability increases physical damage taken by 60%. Another ability that cannot be dispelled. At the start of the battle, Cyborg gains 25 energy in Anti-Crime Network, Reconnaissance Mission, Genesis Gathering, Data Breach. If Cyborg survives until the countdown ends, he hacks the system to extend the timer by 5 seconds. So this is talking about literally the Anti-Crime Network, and it's referring to the ability, I believe that it's going to be the alloyed attack. And the alloyed attack, if the timer, oh no, this is referring to all the ones except for the alloyed attack, because in the alloyed attack, you want the timer to run out, but in the other ones, if the timer runs out, he will extend that timer by 5 seconds. So it's referring to the other three specifically. You don't really need them in alloyed attack to be able to extend the time because you want that time to run out. But in the other three, he will extend it by 5 seconds, giving you a little more time to be able to take down the enemies. A lot of times you will see that you're strong enough to take down the enemies, but you just needed a second or two to cause just a little bit more damage. While we're speaking on this game mode, the anti-crime, I do want to crawl back my statement before about never using that mode again. I had to go back on it because there becomes times when you just have to use it. You just have to, because you may need an abundance of one specific. And I did mention that before, that if I had to, because I need an abundance of one thing, that may be a reason. But you also sometimes just need to dump. Just need to dump your intel. So you may come here just to dump real quick. If you're not going to be online, you see it's full up or it's almost full, you may need to dump. And I always say dump inside the alloyed attack, unless you're above War Room 35 or close to being above, because increasing your armory takes utilizing a lot of alloy, and it's the most difficult building to build up. Just want to mention that since we're here. So going back to Cyborg. So that's his system hack. And his last ability, he increases a champion's effect accuracy by 10%. And this applies globally. So he does do a lot. He just doesn't do as much in comparison to the other people that I mentioned in cohesiveness, even though he's just a support character anyway. And his vulnerability is the most prized possession that he has, as he weakens enemies. If you ever use Cyborg and Superman together and he uses vulnerability and Superman does his special attack, you can see the amount of damage that he is causing when he does that. So this is in the early beginning. Later on, you'll be getting Hawk Girl and be getting Martian Manhunter. But as I mentioned before, Mira is not one that I will be against putting AC/DC shards in. The only problem is that if you're building up Shazam and you're building up Wonder Woman, you don't really need the healing that Mira is going to provide. But if you need the healing because it's too early and you can't get enough shards for Shazam, then you definitely, without Shazam, you're going to have Wonder Woman. Without Shazam and up to 5 stars, you're going to need Mira up until that point. You know what I mean? So if I had to go with which 5 I would start with Superman, Shazam, Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Wonder Woman. Those will be the 5 I'll be starting the game with before moving on to Arkham. Moving on to Arkham Most Wanted. These should be the first team you should be building up with, and you can put your ACDC shards in them and not feeling like you wasted them on champions that you're not going to lose. You're not going to use later on into the matchup. So guys, this is the end of the video. Hopefully you guys already liked and subscribed to the video. If you hasn't, man, hook me up, man. Hook me up. This is Mel, KXY. I'm out.